Sivaya Nama, Tiruchitrambalam. Welcome back. We are going to start with our new journey, which is almost a 1 year journey that we have planned. This is to go through the ninth Thirumurai in a more detailed manner. In other words, it's like a 360-degree view of ninth Thirumurai. And today we are going to talk about a bird's eye view of the ninth Thirumurai. That's what our target for today is. Ninth Thirumurai is also called as Thillai Thirumurai, or it is also called as Siddhar Thirumurai. The reason is ninth Thirumurai predominantly is sung for the shrine Chidambaram, and Chidambaram is known as Thillai in Tamil due to the holy tree called as Thillai. Right now we are not able to see the tree over there due to deforestation and all these, but once upon a time it was filled with Thillai. It was called as it was a forest basically with the Thillai trees, and that's why it is called as Thillai. And right now we know this place as Chidambaram, and this Thirumurai, ninth Thirumurai, predominantly is sung to this particular shrine. That is why it has the name Thillai Thirumurai. And in Tamil, we have another beautiful tradition. When we just say a flower, by default, it will always represent lotus. If we talk about any other flower, we need to have a name specific to it. For example, jasmine flower or lavender flower and so on. But if we say just flower without any prefix, it usually represents lotus. Same ways when we talk about a fruit, by default, it will represent only banana. If we have to talk about jackfruit or mango fruit, we need to have the prefix over there. By default, it will always represent only banana. Similar to that, according to Saivites, the moment we say temple, just temple, it will only represent Chidambaram. The other temples, we need to be more specific. We need to say Tanjore temple, or we need to say Thiruvannamalai temple, or so on and so forth. But the moment we say just without any prefix, if we say temple, it will represent only Thillai, which is Chidambaram. This particular Thirumurai, which is the ninth Thirumurai, totally has got 29 Thirupadigams, out of which 16 Thirupadigams are sung for this particular shrine, Thillai. And not only that, according to our tradition, we always say the moments if we want realization, self-realization, one must visit Thillai, which means not just physically visiting there, but you have to start meditating the cosmic dancer in between our eyebrows, and that is where this is the place which is called as Olakka Mandapam, and that is the place where Nataraja is dancing. Our cosmic dancer is not elsewhere, he's actually within us, and the moment we start realizing that, we are able to visualize that, that is where self-realization will happen. That is also one of the speciality. Now let's look at the speciality of this number 9. We all know 9 is a very special number because that's the last number in any particular digit. After that, it will become the next digit, right? So if you talk about 9, it's a single digit. The moment you talk about the next number, it becomes the double digit. Same ways, it concludes the double digit and moves on to the 3 digits as well. So 9 has a very significant, has a lot of significance over there. Not only that, when we multiply any number in this world with 9 and you add up all the digits, you will always end up having 9 as an answer. That also represents how Lord Shiva's existence is. He's there in everything, and at the same time, he's there all alone as well. 9 stays separately, and also it multiplies with any number, but end of the day, it gives us 9. Similar to the first 8 Thirumurais, this particular Thirumurai was also sung onto various shrines. So the authors or the poets basically visited multiple shrines and they started singing the Thirumurai for us. So this is also similar to the first 8 Thirumurai, no difference from there, but there is one significant difference. The first 8 Thirumurai, if you look at it, It was sung only for Lord Shiva. You will not be able to see references would be there, but not dedicated songs to Lord Muruga or Lord Ganpati or even Goddess. But if we talk about 9, 10, and 11, it takes the entire family, Shiva family as a whole, and it is being represented. So, ninth Thirumurai, we do see an entire Padigam dedicated to Lord Muruga. That's one another speciality, one another differentiation from the other Thirumurais, if we can say that. And as we said, 9 talks about representation of the next digit, as we said earlier itself. And not only that, according to the traditional Tamil, a few thousand years back, I'm talking about like probably 3,000, 4,000 years back, the number 9 or the word onbadu, which represents 9, represented something like a service. So, whenever we talk about service, the concept of service was represented with the term onbadu. That is also one another beauty of it. And if you write in Roman letters, if you write 9, it is I and X, right? So I and X is what we write it usually, which is almost similar to our Shivaya Nama or Nama Shivaya. The reason is whenever we talk about Ya, Ya represents 10. And Roman letter, we all know it represents X, right? So Ya in Tamil, if you write 10, if you want to write 10 with Tamil syllables, we will go for Ya. The letter is Ya, which is Sivaya Nama or Nama Sivaya, right? And if you want to make it as 9, you just add 1 in front, which means we need to always lean towards Siva so that we can get self-realized. That's also one another beauty that we are able to see with this particular 9th Thirumurai. 9th Thirumurai is all about musical. 100% musical notes is what is represented over there. Not only that, if you look at any temple, if you visit any temple, they have this tradition called as Panjapuranam. If we go into a little bit more details about Panjapuranam, we can have a relationship with the Veda tradition, because according to the Veda tradition, they follow a very strict timeline, as in beyond certain time they cannot sing or they cannot chant Vedas because of the vibration. Because Vedas is all based on vibrations, right? It's not words, it's vibration. So they cannot go beyond certain timing. Say, for example, something happened in a temple and they had to, extend the program extended or whatsoever. They had to quickly finish chanting this mantra, but they don't have time. In the lack of time, what they did was they chose a mantra with 50 syllables, and those 50 syllables had unique vibrational words or letters, and they chanted this particular mantra to say that they have chanted the entire, which is equivalent to chanting the entire mantra. That is how this concept of Panjapuranam was created. And when this was adopted by the Tamil tradition, what they did was they just took 5 songs, verses, which means from the first 7th Thirumurai, which is almost 8,000 songs, 8,000 verses, and they started singing one particular verse from the 8,000 and odd songs. And 8th Thirumurai has got about 600 verses, 600 plus verses. They chose one verse from the 600 and odd verses. And from the 12th Thirumurai, which is about 4,000 and odd verses, they chose one. 9th Thirumurai, they chose 2. One from Thiru Isaipa, one from Tirupallanda. Because if you look at 9th Thirumurai, 29 Padigams are there totally. 28 is called as Thiru Isaipa and 1 is called as Tirupallanda, the last one. So they chose 2 from 9th Thirumurai itself. This is how the Panjapuranam was created. But right now we are able to see a fallacy around us. Most of them, what they do is they count only 5 verses and they sing everything from the first 7 Thirumurai and then they say they are done. Actually, that is not the approach. As we said earlier, it is not just count 5, but it talks about 5 varieties. 5 varieties of literature. First 8,000 and odd verses that we are able to see, it is called as pun related songs, which is basically you can sing those, and you must sing in a specific manner. You can choose one or even 10 or even 100 from that, but in our checklist, only one can be ticked, which is the first one to talk about pun. Second one is Iyal Tamil. Iyal Tamil means prose. It is not going to be sung, but you can, if you want, you can use any other method to, hymn, so like, some kind of rhythms that you can come up with, but it is not specific for any particular way of singing. 8th Thirumurai, 10th Thirumurai, 11th Thirumurai is of this particular pattern. Even if you sing one entire Thirumurai, even then in our checklist of Panchapuranam, only the second one can be ticked. So you can understand, right? It is not 5 songs, rather it is 5 types, varieties of literature that we are talking about. 12th Thirumurai is about Adiyargal, which is basically the aspirants, devotees. So we are talking about one verse for the devotees. In this, if you want to sing an entire chapter, also you can do that. But again, it will only tick one from the checklist. 288 verses from Thiru Isaipa. If you have time, why not? You can sing all the 28 Thirupadigams, yet according to our checklist, only one will be ticked, which is Thiru Isaipa. Thirupallandu, only 13 verses, and even if you sing all the 13 verses, only one can be ticked. So Panchapuranam is not about 5 songs or 5 verses, it's about 5 varieties. That is the first understanding we need to have, right? So that is the concept of Panchapuranam, and we are able to see even today many of the temples, they are following this tradition of singing Panchapuranam. In your home, when you're doing your Shiv Puja, please don't stop with just 5 verses. If possible, if time permits, because early in the morning, if we are rushing for work or whatsoever, if time permits, please do sing the entire Padigam, because that's how the entire benefit will be reaped. All right. All right. Now, talking about the 9, again, beauty. One another beauty is when you look at the 9th Thirumurai, it was sung by 9 authors, 9 poets. And the 9 poets are Thirumaligai Tevar, Sendanar, Karuvur Tevar, Nambi Kadavarkon, Kandaradithar, Venattadigal, Thiruvali Amudar, Purudottamar, and Sedirayar. We do have other sessions to talk about specific authors, and at that point in time, we will go into the details of individual poets, and we will see what kind of a specialization they had and all these. For today, we are only going to introduce 9th Thirumurai, and we are going to carry on with the Padigams. That's our target. So I'm not going to go too much into details of the history or the biography of the authors and all these, right? Now, how many total Padigams we have? As we said earlier, there are totally 29 Padigams, out of which 28 we call it as Thiru Isaipa, and 1 we call it as Thirupallandu. So, Thirumaligai Tevar has given us 45 verses. Sendanar has given us 47 verses. Karuvur Tevar has given 103 verses. Poonduruthi Nambikada Nambi has given us 12 verses. Kandaradithar 10 verses. Venattadigal 10. Thiruvali Amudanar 42. Purudottama Nambi 22. And Sedirayar totally 10. So when we consolidate, it comes up to 301. But according to an poem where they specified how many songs are there, how many verses are there, they say there were totally 365 verses, but we have lost the remaining. We got only 301 as of now. Let's preserve at least this, because we can't complain about what we have lost, but what we can do is be prudent from now on, and at least from now on we can preserve these. Make sure that we are reading it during our prayers on a daily basis. Now, this particular Thirumurai has, again, we are also talking about, you can sing these, right? there are something called as pan, which is even more older than the raga concept, the ragams and all these, right? It's even more older than the concept of raga. One padigam, entire padigam is given under the pan called as Indalam. Kandaram pan, we have two padigams. Salarapani, we have one padigam. Nattaragam, we have one padigam. Puranirmai, we have three padigams. And Panjamam, we have 21 padigams. Panjamam is supposed to be one of the most auspicious pan, and there is a specific way of singing it, which all our experts are going to teach us how to do that. So we will also learn how to sing during this 1 year period. Right. Now, there are totally 14 shrines that is dedicated for this particular Thirumurai. Again, as we said, the first place or shrine we are going to talk about is Chidambaram. 173 verses are sung for this particular shrine alone. திருவீழிமிழலை, திரு ஆவடுதுறை, திரு இடைக்கழி, திரு கலந்தை ஆதித்தேச்சரம், திரு கீழ்கோட்டூர் மணி அம்பலம், திரு முகத்தலை, திரைலோக்கிய சுந்தரம், கங்கை கொண்ட சோழேச்சரம், திருப்பூவனம், திருச்சாட்டியக்குடி, தஞ்சை ராஜராஜேச்சரம், திரு இடை மருதூர், திரு ஆரூர் are the different shrines. Again, whenever time permits, we will go through the different shrines in one particular approach, so that end of the 1 year, our objective is to get to know all possible or to analyze the ninth Thirumurai in all possible angles. I would request you guys to, all of you, to subscribe to our YouTube as well as to our Facebook and be connected with us, because we are planning for 3 to 4 programs on a daily basis. Since it's a 1 year program, sometimes there is a possibility that we may miss out in sending the information or the flyers or whatever. So please be connected with us so that you don't miss out any programs. And even when you're having a leisure time, you can listen to one at a time, because we are going to talk about variety of enticing topics are going to come in, and we are going to have multiple speakers who's going to talk about different, again, their own area of expertise is what we are going to discuss in this particular 1 year program. So please be connected with us and give us your feedback as well. I'll come back again with the next posting very soon, which is tomorrow. Until then, Sivaya Nama, Tiruchitrambalam.